Today, I'm going to talk about why I'm so obsessed over status and the common status games that people play. I think that the need to signal status stems from justifying the way you live and your choices so that your way of life is the preferred way to gain the most reproductive advantage possible. Oftentimes, especially in group settings, people get into arguments over different ways to live life, how different interests are superior over another. And all this is a battle for status through the lens of interests. Because interests determine which status games you play. Because in the first place, if you weren't interested in a particular status game, you would have never took the time to invest in it, gain knowledge about it, ramp up status currency, which shows how competent you are in that selected dominance hierarchy or status hierarchy that you want to partake in. And in the case that you're not interested in someone else's preferred status hierarchy, then you dismiss it. Your interests or your plead for status does not apply to me, and I'm going to pay no mind to it. For instance, just today, I was called a geek for having a lot of books and reading a lot. That person does not perceive reading as an effective path to attain higher status. And that's exactly what it is. For instance, another example, social media. I am not on social media. And oftentimes people tell me, how do you get connected with other people? If everyone is on social media, why are you off of it? Are you weird? Are you a recluse? Well, I am not. It's just that I believe in different things. And the status games that I want to play in is quite different from what most people want. So, all in all, what I'm saying is interests, hobbies, or interests and hobbies in in itself are dominance hierarchies and status games that we play to gain reproductive advantage over another. And you will only want to climb higher in that selected dominance hierarchy if you're interested in the subject matter. Or else, why bother climbing it? You've fallen into the trap of mimesis where you're taking everyone else's desire for as a proxy for your own. And to gain competence and to gain status currency, that's something I coined to explain the knowledge or resources you have related to a particular status hierarchy to prove your worth and position. An example could be you are a sneaker connoisseur. You have a lot of sneakers. That's physical proof, so physical status currency. And there's also more intangible status currencies such as knowledge, being able to identify different generations of a model and be able to tell the differences between a general release or a really limited edition, and be able to name the colorway, the nickname of a specific model once just seeing a picture. So there are physical status currencies and intangible, non-physical status currencies that we use as humans to illustrate our competence in that particular dominance or status hierarchy. So that's my very quick take on status signaling, why people do it, and how interests and hobbies are inextricably related to dominance hierarchies and status games that we play. Now, what are some common status games that we play, you might ask? The first one is quite obvious. It's wealth. Now, the physical status currency here is by demonstrating that you're able to afford conspicuous consumption, that you're able to spend a lot of money, splurge on your clothes and whatnot. And you might also play the game of he has, she has, I have, or I know, she knows, my friend knows, this person who is rich, wealthy, and whatnot, and try to one up each other in the physical status currency in demonstrated behavior that is largely performative, and also intangible status currencies in knowledge. People you know, what is the best way to attain wealth. And this may be your finance bros talking about US stock. This might be your gold moguls who swear by gold. And this could also be your crypto bros that is betting on the next altcoin to send their net worth to the moon. So that's wealth, a very common status game that people play. The second one is work. We're talking about corporate titles. I think that it's a huge dick and boob measuring contest in all corporates around the world. Who's able to command more resources, assert more influence, who has the bigger team, who has the higher title within the company, so on and so forth. Well, everyone partakes in this game, but those who are extra involved in this game are willing to sacrifice almost everything to attain the higher status positions in corporate. And that's when you see people stepping on top of each other to climb up that corporate ladder. So the second one is work and corporate as a status game. Because there are people out there who just work and they love working. And there's nothing wrong with that. This may be your entrepreneurs, your high level executives at your corporate companies. The third common status game that I've observed is fashion. This is how many brands you know, how many designer brands, how many independent labels you know. Oh, do you know that brand? Oh yeah, I know that brand. This type of game that people play. This reminds me of this video of a agency of some sort, and they planned a prank on fashion lovers at a particular fashion week, maybe Paris Fashion Week. And what they did was they made up a random brand and say the name of the brand is Mama Moo Moo, and they went around said fashion week asking people, so what are your takes on the fall winter collection of Mama Moo Moo, when this brand is completely made up out of thin air, not an actual brand. The responses that they received were absolutely insane, ridiculously outrageous. Oh yeah, I know Mama Moo Moo. I went to their Spring Summer 27 show, and they had this really sheer top that showed the nipples that I really liked. And that might be a trend coming in the next year. Yeah, Mama Moo Moo. Yeah, I heard the designer is also called Mama Moo Moo, so it's an eponymous label. Mama Moo Moo, this made up brand. And what exactly is the source? What exactly is a reason behind why these people provided these answers? It's status. It's a signal that you have status currency, knowledge, intangible status currency in the fashion game. What is the physical status currency? It's pretty self-explanatory. What you wear, how you style, the brands you buy, and that all comes together as taste. What exactly is your taste? Oh, I like your taste. Oh, that guy's got no taste. The fashion status game. The fourth one is traveling. Nothing against traveling. It's just that this is again a very, very common status game that people play. If you look at Instagram profiles, oftentimes people on Instagram put on the flags of countries they've visited in their Instagram profile to signal to people that they're world travelers. They've been to 78 countries and they've been to X city Y times. Although this might come from a inner drive to explore the world, but at the same time when it's that obvious out in the open in social media, especially when this is very much performative. And if you add onto the fact that people, after taking these trips, they often tell their friends, oh, I went to Paris for 2 weeks, or I went to Japan for a month. I had matcha 2 times a day and it was amazing. And they just keep talking about it, right? Nothing wrong, nothing wrong with that. Just that this is also a status game that I observed. Fitness. This is another one. Different debating on what is the best way to gain muscle between different sports. CrossFitters, you have your kettlebellers, you have your power lifters, each having their own take on what is the best way to stay healthy, get big. There are different goals as well, different aesthetic goals, body types that you want to eventually sculpt your body into. PRs, PBs, these are again status games that you play so that you can attain reproductive advantage at a higher level. Next one would be food. Types of restaurants. I'm a foodie. Different types of cuisines, different restaurants. Oh, I like this one, but that one, yeah, it's got a Michelin 1 star, but I wasn't really feeling it. Michelin 1 star. This is 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. That's also in itself a ranking that display the status of the restaurant and also the people who go, right? Personally, I'm not really a big fan of Michelin restaurants. I just like what I like. But oftentimes when people are making restaurant recommendations, they would drop that in so that it illustrates that they know, they have knowledge, they have status currency in this status game that you play, which is restaurants. And the last one would be music. Different genres, different artists, different subcultures. Which album is the best? Oh, the newest album's not so good, and all that. And these are just the 7 status games that I thought about just now that I wanted to share with everyone. And another thing about these hobbies and interests that I want to talk about to close off the video is trends. After gaining mass adoption, trends always start as a subculture, a niche. And as time progresses, as more people adopt that trend, the more mainstream the trend gets, the more the early adopters want to signal away from the more mainstream version of this trend. And oftentimes, these early adopters become even more extreme if their behavior related to a certain trend. For instance, punk rock. Punk rock as a fashion style. Punk rock as a fashion style began as niche, where a small amount of people participated, and it was a very tight-knit group. But as mainstream companies adopted punk traits into aesthetics, TV, and media, this triggered these early adopters, true loyalists to punk, to pivot in a more extreme direction, again to signal status by adopting a more extreme version of punk that mainstream brands and media cannot imitate in order to attain status and signal away. And the big reason behind why subcultures are created is for those who cannot, those who are not able to compete in conventional status games and status hierarchies, such as wealth, work, and corporate, for these people to access status elevating activities. And subcultures are a product of a new status hierarchy so that those who cannot participate can also elevate their place in society. That's all I got for you today. Pretty passionate about this topic. I'll see you in the next one.